Nice
All
to
right.
see you.
Mike, this conference has grown leaps and bounds since you've taken over, as they say, and you've played it like a little baby, and now it's starting to walk.
Good way to put it, Jerry.
He's starting to walk, and the baby's like reaching out and grabbing at the stuff and all. He's like, hey, watch your hands there, watch your hands.
Irritating some people, huh?
You got 3 teams ranked nationally, because I'm going to get this out of the way. You got 3 teams football-wise ranked nationally.
And Houston's right there. Houston will be ranked pretty soon if they keep winning.
Oh, yes. That's the other one. Then you'll have 4 in the top 25. But you've got one team that has not lost a game in over almost 2 seasons now. They're challenging. First of all, how do you go about, because you've challenged the coaches in the conference. Now, how do you go on a national brand and say, look, we're scheduled for that one bowl game. At some point, you got to step back and say, okay, we're about to be forced into enlarging the playoff structure. How do you approach the committee and all with all that going?
Well, we get to talk to them every April, and I talk about our teams and our league and how good it is, and I say just compare scores and compare results and look at what we've done in big games. You're right, though. The playoff structure now makes it very hard for us. I haven't really been a proponent of expanding it, and I'm not sure if expanding it is going to solve the problem. What they'll probably do is just say, okay, the top 6 or 8 teams, and, maybe it gives us a little better chance. But I worry sometimes, too, about too many games and the stress on the student athletes, also what it does to the regular season. But, I have an open mind on it. The problem now is, though, that when you have a team like UCF, they just don't get the respect they deserve. This is a really good team. By the way, it's hard to win 19 straight games. I don't care who you're playing.
Right, on any level.
Who you're playing, any level. And they have played a lot of good teams. They beat Auburn. They've beaten P5 teams. They've beaten the best teams in our league. They've had these tremendous games with Memphis where they had to grit it out, where they were on the verge of losing and they come back.
Yep.
That just shows you the kind of fortitude that team has. And they have Mackenzie Milton, who in my view is as good a quarterback, especially in the clutch, as anybody in the country. And they've also given credit. They made the transition from Scott Frost to Josh Heupel with really barely a hiccup, and that's not an easy thing to do.
True.
They might even be a little better in some phases of the game this year than they were last year. So, they've got it all going, and the league does though. Remember, we broke out, Jerry, in football in 2015 when we had all those big wins against Ole Miss and Penn State. Temple almost beat Notre Dame. We won, 10 or 11 games against the P5. We won the big bowl game with Houston, obviously beating Florida State when everybody said, oh, they'll get crushed. Same thing last year. Oh, Auburn's going to finally crush UCF. They can't deal with it. And now in basketball, I'm really excited because for the first time, we're deep. We've got good coaches at every institution. We have no more issues. And we've got, just some tremendous pedigree. It's not going to happen immediately because we have some teams that have to rebuild. But Dan at UConn and Penny at Memphis and now Greg Marshall has to rebuild his team, but they will. And within a year or 2, I expect we'll be one of the top 2 or 3 conferences in men's basketball. And in women's basketball, we have the crown jewel in UConn. So I'm pleased. Baseball, we've had teams on the cusp of the College World Series.
Right.
Houston has one of the best track and field programs in the country. We've had a national champion in golf. I could go on and on. I'm just proud of what they've done. It was a real. We were kind of taken out of a bankruptcy reorganization 6 years ago. That was almost the situation.
And folks don't realize it could have died.
We could have absolutely disappeared. We absolutely could have disappeared. In fact, people in Boise and San Diego State decided not to join the league in football. Oh, well, you don't have any football powers left. And I said, we've got a lot of good football teams. It's just they haven't emerged yet. And then in basketball, UConn wins the national championship in the first year. And I must confess, we haven't been as good in basketball the last 3 or 4 years as I thought we'd be. But we were always competitive, but we haven't been as good. Now we're going to be the dynamic conference I really thought we'd always be. So, you just take it one step at a time. We've got the commitment of the administrators. We've got good coaches.
Facilities are getting better for all the way around?
Yeah. It's harder to keep our football coaches. As you know, they get those big contract offers from the so-called P5. but we make the transitions generally pretty well. Look at Jeff Collins; he's doing a nice job at Temple, taking over for Matt Rule. Same thing, Major, Applewhite. Houston's only got one loss this year, and that was to a Texas Tech team that just beat Oklahoma State, beat TCU, and they played them out at their place. So I'm pleased with the way things are going. You can't help it.
The other thing, have you started negotiations with the TV contracts, or is that down the road?
That's next year. Yeah, we have a negotiating period, next year in the winter, spring. So we're not that far away when you think about it, and I'm hoping that our success now will translate, because I think we offer an awful lot, that we didn't offer 5 or 6 years ago.
And that bodes well to what's going on right now in the immediate, like you just mentioned about basketball overall. It's getting better on both sides, men's and women's. Football situation is pretty much taking care of itself in front of everybody's eyes. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of competition to that dollar can only stretch out so far. Is there let me ask this question, answer this way. Is there a competition amongst the networks as far as when you go out for bidding and all for different TV contracts and all and extensions? Are they is it a long process as far as 4 or 5 years, or is it every other year?
Oh, no, I mean, most TV deals now stretch out fairly far. Is that with all that noise? I'm sorry, apologize.
Oh no, we're good.
Again, our first coaches roundtable will begin in approximately 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
So
But yeah, it's because Fox, ESPN, the networks. Everybody's got an extended expansion. College sports, especially the program, and they've got to fill those slots. So when it all starts, is it you put the bid out and you go and contact everyone, or you target in on?
Well, no, our preference, of course, would be when time comes next year is to sit down with ESPN. They've been a great partner. I still think they're the best, they're the worldwide leader, and I mean that. I mean, they really are. And I just love what they do for us. Without ESPN, we couldn't have built our brand. I don't think there's any question about it. There are a lot of people out there who have interest in us now, and the online companies are starting to get involved. But given my preference, ESPN has been a great home for us, and CBS in basketball. With I know ESPN has sold them some football games. So we've had good exposure for the league. That's how you build your brand. When you had those big Memphis wins on Saturday afternoon against UCLA and Ole Miss, when you have this year alone, when we had the day when Houston destroyed Arizona and USF came back to beat Georgia Tech. That was a split national. We had the whole country watching us. That's how you build a brand. And so we'll, but that's out, several months out. So we're not, we'll see when the time comes.
Is there anything else you didn't mention this morning or in the conversation you and I are having now that's coming down the pike as far as the conference is concerned? Because expansion is just what it is, because you don't control that, because that's on the president, the individual school members. Yeah. But as far as an overall,
I think things are stable. I really do. I don't see much in the way of movement or realignment. I didn't mention the Rice Commission, but our schools have not really, fortunately, had the kind of issues that some of the other, knock on wood, that some of the other conferences have had. But we hope that the implementation of some of those things will help. Obviously, clean up college basketball. It's a sport we all love. We love the sport, and it's a great sport. Football and basketball are the two things that drive us. And not that we don't love our Olympic sports. I mean, we have great soccer, we have great volleyball. They're fun too. The kids have a great time. They're out of the spotlight, but they're doing it for the love of the sport. But those two sports drive pretty much your conference identity. And I hope that, and we, of course, we're lucky too, because we really have great women's basketball. I hope that we don't have any of those issues, but down the road, I think the future looks pretty bright. We need more revenue. We know that. We always do. We've struggled to keep pace with those so-called P5 guys. They have a lot more resources than we do. But Jerry, it just shows if you're smart about how you do things and how you recruit. We don't have to recruit 5-star kids. We get an Ed Oliver once in a while. That's fortuitous.
And that's a blue. I mean, Mike Strahan was brought to Texas Southern just on a family situation. Somebody says, "Hey,
Joe Green was North Texas, right? Some of the greatest players in the history of the NFL came from places like Grambling or places like where Walter Payton. He played at
Jackson State.
At
Jackson State.
Jackson State, right? And they used to play Northwestern State, and some of the greatest players came from little places that you never heard. And even Tom Brady, he played at Michigan, sure, but he was what, a 6th-round draft pick, which is like a 200-player pick.
Yeah.
So
almost didn't get.
It just shows if you're smart about it, if you see things like Scott Frost saw something in Mackenzie Milton, right? Because Mackenzie Milton is probably our size,
right?
Relatively speaking, he's a little taller than I am. He's about your height,
yeah.
Right? And okay, so he's not 6'5". He doesn't have to be. He's still a great player. He sees the field. He's a great competitor. That's what we have to be as a conference, because we're not going to compete with those guys to get the 5-star guys. They're going to go to Alabama and Florida and Michigan and Ohio State. That's fine. No problem. And they're good players. But if we've got the grit and the guys that develop, maybe you get like a Blake Bortles. He goes to UCF. I think he was a tight end in high school. Nobody really even saw him and envisioned him as a quarterback. And that's what we need to do.
All right, Mike, as always, it's good to see you and talk to you about the conference, because you're always talking positive, and the negatives when you need to, because everything needs to be straightened out. But the conference is a conference, and at some point...
We face hurdles, we face obstacles. We've always been realistic about who we are. We've got to increase certain things, but our attendance is getting better. Our TV ratings are really pretty good now. And we needed to build a brand.
All right, Mike, thanks.
Thanks, Jared.